Welcome, dear students. In this section of the video on smart contract, building smart contract with Solidity for beginner, we are going to look at JavaScript versus Solidity. This is like a bone of contention out there. So I just want to give you an idea, and even if you have not ever programmed in JavaScript, which is advisable you should have drawn or go back before this course to really help you a lot. So, you know, I recommend that. And if you want me to do Solidity course or JavaScript course for Web3, that those things you need to help you with Web3 and blockchain programming, then let me know in the forum. Remember, we have a overall forum where you can give suggestion and everything. So make sure you get back to that link and give your suggestion. I think probably with more requests, I may consider doing it. So now, let's first talk about JavaScript versus Solidity. You get what I'm saying? And we'll be looking at the similarities. We'll still talk about the differences between them, but this section of the video will focus on similarities. So don't forget what I've taught you about comment. How do you comment all this line together? Can you let me know? A shortcut of Ctrl/back, but we can use just multi-comment, and so we won't disturb what we are doing, and then we need to end it over here. So we stop having those errors. Cool. So now JavaScript versus Solidity. What are the similarities? Number one, let's talk about variables. In terms of variables, they both have variable, but we'll talk about in the differences. But you need to know, if you have been exposed to JavaScript, you will be exposed to variable. They have like similar way of declaring variables, but with some basic tweak between them, which we will discuss under the differences. Then in terms of function, this is like the same way you write function in JavaScript. So the only difference is just that in JavaScript it will just be function, then the name of the function, like JavaScript. Then you can have your normal argument, and then you have this. That's it. Then you have your code in between. But this will not work fine in Solidity, so you can see. But those are part of the things you learn under differences. But you can see, if you're already used to using function and what a function is about, then it makes things much easier to catch up. So scope. When you talk about scope is when you are declaring variable. For example, if I declare variable over here, and I say the variable is in JavaScript, I say maybe like var equals to a equals to 1. Is different from when I copy this and place it inside this function. So that is a scope. So I may be able to access this variable from this function, but I cannot, if I have this function now, I may be able to even access it here as well. Ignore the error, I'm not writing it the right way in Solidity, but this is an example from JavaScript. So you will see that I can access them here. But if I clear off this variable here, and then declare it here, I can't access it in another function. You get what I'm saying? So the scope is within the function, and there's a global scope here. So it's the same thing, similar in JavaScript, maybe with some little tweaks. Then when we talk about, both are object oriented, though the argument of JavaScript not object oriented, but it still work with object and things like that. So the fifth one is both have if statement written. So same way with same purpose. The if statement of JavaScript is the same if statement you have in which we'll still discuss anyway. So even if I'm not writing it here now, but it's still the same ways being written in so something like, if this argument is true, perform the following code, else perform this. Do you get things like that? So it's basically on the same level. That's why if you start with JavaScript, you will find assimilating and grabbing a lot of concept of solidity very, very fast and interesting. So some say it's not the same, it's not. Yes, there are a lot of things they have as we talk about them, but those basic concepts are almost the same, and that cut across different programming language as well. But like this variable now is totally, the way it's declared is similar compared to when you compare it with PHP. You hear what I'm saying? So in PHP, you just like name, or let's say pet equals to, you get dog. Do you hear what I'm saying? So you can't compare it with the var that we did previously. So I think we should clear this off. So those are part of the differences there. Then similarities, or we still talk about differences in depth. Then both have, okay, loop. Both have same for while loops. You get what I'm saying? So loop is something that in programming that help you to do repetitive tasks. So that if you want to loop, like print something, do something 1,000 times, you don't want to be writing code each. So you loop it through for the your programming program to be able to repeat those same things, and per each repetition it performs some specific instruction. So they both use the same loop techniques, and maybe probably little or negligible, or maybe if you like few differences. So that's it. The basic things, similarities, at least that give you an idea. So even if you learn this as your first language, you go back to JavaScript, you also see that it will help you as well. So but I prefer you start from there based on my personal experience. I jumped to Solidity and had to go back to JavaScript, suspend my learning course, and go back to get JavaScript course. So that's it now. I think that's where we end this section of the video. So next we are moving to their differences. So I think we'll discuss more on that, differences as well in depth. So keep the programming spirit and alive. I remain Solomon Foske of Programming FAQ. Bye for now.